Hello viewers, this is Themiclai. As the title of this video would imply, I've got some thoughts about feminist intervention in social environments, specifically the social environments that just happen to be male populated. In part, this video was induced by a very well spoken YouTube user that goes by the name of Colonel Absconder. I highly recommend that you view his videos, and I will include the video that helped to inspire this one in the low bar description. It has become increasingly evident to me that any social environment, particularly the money-backed popular ones, which just so happen to be populated by men, will induce disgruntled women and feminist advocates to try and change it. It's not even changes that you may think will be helpful, but instead their demands upon men to change their behavior to suit this subjective opinion of the women and feminist advocates, or should I say complainers. These demands are attempts to make for a friendly female environment. The implication of this suggests to me that male-populated environments are somehow ill, negative, or improper without female influence. Last time I checked in my social groups, they were nothing but friendly, but I guess even the social groups that I'm familiar with aren't probably friendly enough for the opinion of feminist advocates. Conversely, I don't see the same complaints by men who wish to enter female-only places. When it really comes down to it, I'd say many men couldn't really give a shit about women-only places. It doesn't even occur to us to demand that women accept and cater to our cares. Frankly, the typical jibber-jabber that goes on between popular female places just tends to induce imagined self-afflicted wounds to end one's misery.
Oh my god, you guys, Brian's being like really weird to me. I mean, he just got back from this ski trip and it's just been really strange. I don't know if maybe we've been together for 3 months and now we're sort of on the downhill, or maybe I'm just over analyzing everything because it's that time of the month. I'm on my period.
Oh, you're on your period.
She's on her period.
You're on your period.
Hey, I'm on my period too, guys. And when I'm on it, yeah, when I'm on my period, my boobs get really sore.
Your boobs are sore. My boobs get really sore when I'm on my period. I get really moody. It's like an emotional roller coaster.
Ups and downs, peaks and valleys. Yeah, you're your period. That's
I get so upset when I'm on my period, and then my boyfriend just makes things worse because he'll only talk to me on the phone for a half an hour.
Because he has better things to do with his life.
It also needs to be said that male-populated environments are happy to include females, should females express an interest. As I think about it, I don't think there is any social place or club that I can join that females can't. I'd like to talk about one such social environment in particular, namely the internet. Over decades, the speed and convenience of communication via the internet has become an integral part for societies around the world. During the beginning, it was chiefly an interest of men who found enjoyment in the use of their computers, but now with modern improvements and simplistic interfaces, women have become entering and expressing specific interest in the use of them. Perhaps this addition in interest is also credited by children's early introduction and education in the use of computers. With the free exchange of information, the internet has become an uncensored, documented depository of knowledge and fun, but with that pure freedom comes an unescapable double-edged sword. That is, the reality of interacting with vulgar, stupid, facetious, and erroneous people. Even without the positive personal position to be anonymous, people still wouldn't behave any different. But today, with more women than ever using the internet, we are coming across complaints in articles and TV about how tough it is to be a woman online. But with that, why don't we hear any complaints from men? I guess probably because we don't cry over frivolous confrontations with people we have never met before and are likely to never meet again. Where I think this type of negative behavior typically stands out is the online multiplayer interactions. Let's consider the Call of Duty demographic. A demographic that isn't exactly reputable for civil exchange and dialogue. But I guess when the objective is to shoot the face off your opponent, then civil exchange doesn't quite fit into the context of that game. It has been my personal experience online, despite having male genitalia, to have been harassed and insulted rather offensively in that game and in others. Players would wish any number of ills upon me, such insults like death by cancer to me and my family. But does that concern me? Fuck no! So when I hear women who cry about trolling rape threats, I just have to facepalm. And no matter what way you spin it, it is considerably worse to wish death upon someone than it is to wish rape upon them. No doubt we can thank feminists for their fear tactics to frighten women senseless at the odd possibility of being raped. Thanks to the feminist invention of rape culture, women fear rape more than death itself. I've heard from both men and women that somehow rape is just worse for women. Despite concepts of equality, we somehow consider an equally abusive act harder on women. I guess those boys who were sexually abused by those Catholic priests can just muster strength and deal with it. Truth is that the only reason trolling rape threats are even used is because the trolls themselves understand that a lot of women fear that more than anything else. The pure fact that it gets a reaction from women is evidence of that. If facetious trolls could get away with the same induced reaction with the mention of clowns, then they would do exactly that. Unfortunately, too few women lack a backbone to simply ignore them like any normal person should. That said, where there are frivolous complaints by women, you won't be too far off to hear a man back her up, which is pretty fucking counter to feminist ideas and how they believe throughout history men have always kept women oppressed. It really just goes to show you just how men will go above and beyond to console women for minor issues. That is, if you can even call troll hate an issue. While none of these men, or more specifically these manginas, will ever express that much fervent interest for the comfort in the misery of fellow men. Among many things for humanity, I wish I could tell and teach these men to act more upon their own dignity than to needlessly help women who don't deserve it. In a time where it is commonly said that women are better than men, we are finding evidence that mere words are turning what is said to be a strong, independent woman into a sympathy-seeking victim. Yet even young boys who frequently visit these so-called hostile places become accustomed to the very same treatment that women have cried about. These boys are even the trolls that grown women complain about. These women, by their own anonymity, have discovered the bare space that men are accustomed to, a space that they have typically been sheltered from and excluded to some extent by the pure understanding by men that women are likely to be offended and or express discontent of the harshness, or as I prefer, the reality of the situation. They have discovered that here it is all open game to creed, colour and authority. However, women being accustomed to special treatment, they quickly realize they don't like associating much without their comforting female privileges. The truth is that if these women approach male-populated environments without a sense of egotism, we really shouldn't have any issues, unless this isn't the case in some circumstances. It is actually a real pity we have this type of backlash of feminist and women representing other women in this way. I think women could learn a great deal from these environments, if only they let go of their egotistic behavior. Here, in these places, you're going to be ridiculed, harassed, and made the topic of fun, an experience I think women, and even a lot of men miss out on when growing up, particularly the way in how a generation of children have been raised by the self-esteem movement. To confirm my thoughts on the usefulness of being ridiculed, harassed, and made the topic of fun, I don't mean these actions to be overly exaggerated to the point where they become serious. Instead, I emphasize the importance of how these actions, in some moderation, build character. In my spare time, I often like to watch and read about history and the events of the World Wars, with World War II in particular. I am also currently in the process of reading biographies of people who have lived remarkable lives during past and post the Second World War. What I find most striking is the intensity of how hard life was during those periods for a great many people. For instance, how do you think you would cope with flying a Bf-109 aircraft where you have shot down a Soviet Union plane and in an evasive maneuver you climb into the sun, but only to have collided with another enemy aircraft in the blinding process, thus crippling your own plane? at which point you're over enemy territory, and so it is imperative to glide back over Allied German forces. All in all, you just managed to succeed with a belly landing on friendly territory. The experience said here was only but one of many daunting flights by Eric Hartmann, the highest scoring ace to have lived. After this said flight, it was written in his biography that he would wake up to the sound of his wingman screaming in his radio, "Brake, brake!" a piece of advice that is essential to your survival in the air. So what has this got to do with the importance of being ridiculed, harassed, and made the topic of fun? Well, it has everything to do with how thick-skinned you are. When we allow generations of people to grow up soft and easily offended, we then rob them of dealing with issues that really make a greater significance upon their lives. All manner of things occur to us. Many good moments, but a lot of bad moments too. When people become too soft, they lose touch with the reality of the sometimes brutal toughness of life's challenges. I notice that these people lose sight of the real issues in themselves and humanity itself. Like a poorly made wall, they crumble at life's challenges and completely break down where some would just do a better job at tolerating it. If they do survive real challenges, they then learn a very valuable lesson. A lesson that suddenly makes ridicule, harassment, and being the topic of jokes very trivial to care about. With that, we learn more about what's important and what's not. This kind of toughness, I think, is lacking in a great number of women, and yes, even men. However, men really can't get away with the same degree of sheltered egotism in how some women can. Learning to be tougher from time to time is a good thing. It helps to teach us that there are bigger fish to fry. With that, the frivolous issues that once existed begin to melt away. Something I know a lot of guys listening now will have understood from an early age. If women really want equality, then they need to work and play in an environment like the rest of us. If not, then get the fuck out and let the big kids take care of it. Life is serious, and if you can't deal with crude insults, then you might as well pull over and give up, because it's about to get a whole lot tougher. Thanks for watching.